So what kind of a role does logistics play in terms of these new engines of growth, be it solar power, be it other forms of renewable energy, or for that matter, semiconductors? Where does logistics come in over there? Because if we still have just powered, solar powered only 7 lakh homes, we have a long way to go. So
absolutely, and logistics is actually goes across all industries, and it is needed in every possible way, from the raw material for glass, that is glass, or even the panel infrastructure, and ultimately even the movement of those panels. Like we have a multimodal network that we are moving today, solar panels in containers from the plants, or if they're coming from overseas, onto rail network that puts it onto a ship that takes it from Tuticorin to Gujarat, and then we again take it on rail to Bikaner or somewhere where the solar plants are being put up. And also the household deliveries of each of these plants to even village level. So you would need logistics there. You need logistics in semiconductors. Do you know substrate for semiconductors need to move at 20 degrees ambient temperature? There's no 20 degrees in India anywhere per se at ambient throughout the year, which means you need a cold chain for semiconductors. If you talk about even with semiconductors, the vibration level of movement has to be at a certain level. It cannot even tilt this much. There's no road in India that can happen. So you need to have solutions around movement of any kind of product, any of the new growth engines, which means a completely new generation of logistics opportunities. 20 years ago, there was nothing like telecom industry, 20, 25 years ago. It is a brand new industry. Similarly, I think if we talk about 10, 15 years from now, these will be the new industries that would have revolutionized the country from a logistics perspective. Now, whether we are ready from a country's perspective, no, clearly not. Whether we need to do a lot more, yes. Whether it is moving not just from road to other modes of transport, because you need to bring down logistics costs as well. There is a lot to be done.
Vineet, you understand the supply chain like no other. Just building on that point, across the country, given what's happening with India's growth story and what we expect, given what Manish just mentioned, will this sort of an announcement and some of the other announcements that we heard in that budget speech and through the document, do you think there will genuinely be a multiplier effect like economists and everyone is expecting with India's consumption story?
Absolutely. Let's start with some things before we get to consumer. First is infrastructure. The kind of investment that's going into infrastructure, the 10.2 lakh crore, and this is continuous for 2 years now. So it didn't happen as much as it was budgeted last year, but did not happen as much, and the previous year. So we've really doubled in the last 4 years the percentage of GDP spent on infrastructure in the last 4 years. So that means that the kind of impact that is about 3 to 4x on the economy, the multiplier effect. It also has a direct implication to 10 to 15 different industries, whether it is cement, steel, or earth-moving equipment companies, or so on and so forth. So that kind of a multiplier effect has clearly a very, very strong proposition. Now, putting money into the hands of consumers with the budget, with the tax cut, essentially will mean that consumers would want to demand more, and which means that hopefully it'll kick off private capex. Now, that's been the bane of the economy for the last year and a half or so, is that government is pushing capex, but private sector is not coming up because there's still a lot of capacity that exists, that capacity utilization has not come up. So with this consumerism increasing a little bit more, we would definitely see that change. And we see these trends because we operate from all over the country, across verticals and across industries, and we are seeing that certain trends have already started reversing, not just because of the budget cut, but because we have come off from a good monsoon, so rural economy is starting to pick up. There has been some pent-up demand that is still there, that is starting to come up. So we will see some push happening. Notwithstanding, I think we also get swayed by numbers of the large companies. FMCG companies are not doing too well, as we've read, but there are lots of local brands that are doing phenomenally well. If you go to there's an atta guy in Rajasthan and Gujarat that does only in Rajasthan, Gujarat, and they're doing phenomenally well. They've added staples also. And like this, there are companies all across the country in various product categories that have come up, which is spurring domestic demand, consumption as well. Remember, we are still going at 6 to 7% at a very large base. It's not less. It is still growth versus many economies. So I think this will further spur up some level of consumption.
So, we talked about all the new age growth engines, and I cannot not ask a question around quick commerce. And Vineet, we were chatting just before we got onto the stage about quick commerce logistics. So, companies setting up dark stores. Earlier it was unheard of, even, kind of transporting a product from a warehouse to a consumer's home. A centralized warehouse to a consumer's home was considered as uneconomical, and there were a lot of questions being raised. And now we see companies setting up dark stores in every locality. So how sustainable is quick commerce as a business?
It's still not affordable, for sure, that I can tell you. Well, the evolution has been quite phenomenal in the last few years. We started off with e-commerce, of course, as a new channel. If there's an FMCG company, that their typical channels were, they would take it to a warehouse, and then it will go to a wholesaler, to a distributor, and finally to a retailer. Or it would go to like a big bazaar or a Reliance store, or it would go through the canteen stores, or the various channels existed. Their own stores also existed. Now that channel got disrupted when Amazon came in 2015-16 or so. And more e-commerce, or Flipkart before that, started pushing products into the homes directly, which means that supply chains had to change, which meant that today from that particular FMCG company's warehouse, you're now servicing another new channel. That was basically a behavioral change. Because, when in 2016-17, when e-commerce started in India, and I was talking to a few friends who used to live overseas, and they said, we also order our toilet paper via Amazon. I said, what? That's not possible in India. And, we are doing it right now. So it has, we have made that behavioral change when it comes to e-commerce. Instant gratification is a new generation phenomena, and instant gratification through quick commerce is what every kid wants. And I did not believe in it also till one day my son said, we had to apply for a visa, and we said, let's go and take a passport size photograph. He said, no, we don't need to do that. He got his older brother to take a camera, stand there, took a picture of him in high resolution, mailed it to one of those quick commerce guys, and within 10 minutes he had the passport size picture. And I was transformed. I said, wow, this is happening. Which meant that supply chain networks are also changing more rapidly. Now, if you're getting a product at home in 10, 15, 20 minutes, it's not just the dry product, but you're also getting a perishable product. You're also getting a cold product. It could be an ice cream that you're getting in 10 minutes. Now, which means that the back-end supply chain for all of those things have started to change. Now, that same FMCG company has added another new channel to their distribution network, which is the step before the dark store. Now, we do a lot of management of that several of those warehouses that are fulfilling those dark stores. And the kind of orders that happen is just crazy. It's just, it's accelerated like nothing ever. And to that extent that some of the orders we are doing at Six Sigma levels, because the number of orders that are there, they're coming up so fast, and they all have to be accurate. And they're going to the pods or the dark stores, which is finally delivering to consumers. So instant gratification is here to stay, I think. It is going to change a lot of things. How many of them will survive? It's basically money. how much money can someone throw down the drain? It's the race to the bottom. So essentially, we are going to see several other companies that are coming in, as we know, and it will be a race to the bottom.